There was an enormous attempt to manipulate the collectible stamp market that involved the governments of El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Ecuador, and this man right here, Nicholas Seebeck, was responsible for all of it. Seebeck was an early stamp dealer who operated in the late 1870s and early 1880s until he sold his stamp business in 1884 to purchase a stake in the Hamilton Banknote Company. This company provided security printing like paper money and stamps, although most of its business actually came from the New York Transit System, who they printed tickets for. Seebeck's plan for the Hamilton Company was very simple. He planned to offer to print stamps for free for small South American and Central American countries, and in exchange be able to exclusively market those stamps to the collector's market. The terms of these free stamps were very simple. Number one, they had to be available for a very short period of time, meaning that he would issue a set of stamps, and then at the end of, say, a year or 6 months, those stamps would be demonetized, meaning that they could no longer be used to mail anything. And all of the stamps that were then demonetized had to be returned to Seebeck so that he could sell it on the American collectible market. The most nefarious part of this plan, though, was that Hamilton also had the right to reprint these then not valid stamps so that they could make sure that they had enough stock to supply every stamp dealer in the world that required those stamps for their customers. In 1889, when Seebeck signed his very first contract with El Salvador to supply them with their stamps and stationery for the next 10 years. Honduras also signed the same agreement and were quickly followed by both Nicaragua and Ecuador in 1890. Collectors were immediately outraged by these contracts, and as soon as these first stamps started showing up in dealers' hands and people could see what it was Seebeck was doing, there was outcry all over the world, and there were many published articles about how unfair it was to collectors to supply stamps in this manner. Because in addition to controlling all of that market supply, because he ran the printing presses, Seebeck also had the ability to create artificial rarities like this one right here that has an inverted portrait right in the middle of the stamp, or this one right here, which is actually imperforate in between these two stamps. This ability to create artificial rarities was essentially the ability to print money and bilk stamp collectors, because there was no reason that these printing errors had to occur, and they were often forced by Seebeck. The outrage among collectors caused these countries to start to pull out of these agreements, starting with Honduras in 1893, followed shortly the year after by Nicaragua and Ecuador in 1894. Only El Salvador fulfilled their full contract and actually ran the full 10-year gamut, with their last Seebeck stamp being printed in 1899, the same year of Seebeck's death at the age of 42.